Hello, my name is Deanne. This is Deanne's Treasure Studio, where I read gaming content not available on Audible. So gather around, my friends, to hear complimentary reading 2024, Chapter 7, Spell Descriptions F to G. And without further ado, Firebolt, Evocation, Cantrip, Sorcerer, Wizard. Casting time, 1 action. Range, 120 feet. Components, VS. Duration, instantaneous. You hurl a mote of fire at a creature or object within range. Make a ranged spell attack against the target. On a hit, the target takes 1d10 fire damage. A flammable object hit by this spell starts burning if it isn't being worn or carried. Cantrip upgrade. The damage increases by 1d10 when you reach levels 5, 2d10, 11, 3d10, and 17, 4d10. Moving on to Fire Shield. Level 4, Evocation, Druid, Sorcerer, Wizard. Casting time, 1 action. Range, self components, VSM, a bit of phosphorus or a firefly. Duration, 10 minutes. Wispy flames wreath from your body for the duration, shedding bright light in a 10-foot radius and dim light for an additional 10 feet. The flames provide you with a warm shield or a chill shield. As you choose, the warmth shield grants you resistance to cold damage, and the shield grants you resistance to fire damage. In addition, whenever a creature within 5 feet of you hits you with a melee attack roll, the shield erupts with flame. The attacker takes a 2d8 fire damage from the warm shield or 2d8 cold damage from the chill shield. So chill. Firestorm, level 7, Evocation, Cleric, Druid, Sorcerer. Casting time, action, range 150 feet. Components, VS. Duration, instantaneous. A storm of the fires appears within range. The area of the storm consists of up to 10-foot cubes, which you arrange as you like. Each cube must be continuous with at least one other cube. Each creature in the area takes a dexterity saving throw, taking 7d10 fire damage on a failed save, half as much on a successful one. Flammable objects in the area that aren't being worn or carried starts burning. Flame Blade. Level 2, Evocation, Druid, Sorcerer. Casting time, bonus action. Range, self. Duration, concentration, up to 10 minutes. You evoke a fiery blade in your free hand. The blade is similar in size and shape to a scimitar, and it lasts for the duration. If you let go of the blade, it disappears, but you can evoke it again as a bonus action. As a magic action, you can make a melee attack with the fiery blade. On a hit, the target takes fiery damage equals to 3d6 plus your spell casting ability modifier. The flaming blade sheds bright light in a 10-foot radius, dim light for an additional 10 feet. Using higher level spell slots, the damage increases to 1d6 of each spell level above 2. Pretty cool, yeah? Flame Strike. Level 5, Evocation, Cleric. Casting time, action. Range 60 feet. Components, VSM, a pinch of sulfur. Duration, instantaneous. A vertical column of brilliant fire roars down from above. Each creature in a 10-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder centered on a point within range makes a dexterity saving throw, taking 5d6 fire damage and 5d6 radiant damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. Using a higher level spell slot, the fire damage and the radiant damage increase by 1d6 for each spell slot above level 5. Flaming Sphere, Level 2, Conjuration, Druid, Sorcerer, Wizard. Casting time, 1 action. Range 60 feet. Components VSM, a bowl of wax. Duration, concentration up to 1 minute. You create a 5-foot Demeter sphere of fire in an unoccupied space on the ground within range. It lasts for the duration. Any creature that ends its turn within 5 feet of the sphere makes a dexterity saving throw, taking 2d6 fire damage on a failed save or half as much damage on a successful one. As a bonus action, you can move the sphere up to 30 feet. Rolling it along the ground, you move the sphere into the creature's space. That creature takes the save against the sphere, and the sphere stops moving for the turn. When you move the sphere, you can direct it over barriers up to 5 feet tall and jump it across pits up to 10 feet wide. The flammable objects that aren't being worn or carried start burning if it touches by the sphere, and it sheds bright light and a 20-foot radius and dim light for an additional 20 feet. Excuse me. Using the higher level spell slots, the damage increases 1d6 for each spell slot above 2. Flesh to Stone, Level 6, Transmutation, Druid, Sorcerer, Wizard. Casting time, action. Range 60 feet. Components VSM, a cockatrice feather. Duration, concentration up to 1 minute. You attempt to turn one creature that you can see within range into stone. The target makes a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, it has the restrained condition. For the duration, on a successful save, its speed is 0 until the start of your next turn. Constructs automatically succeed on a save. A restrained target makes another Constitution saving throw at the end of each of its turns. If successful, saves against this spell let me start over. If it successfully saves against this spell 3 times, the spell ends. If it fails its save 3 times, it's turned into stone and has the petrified condition for the duration. These successes and failures needn't be in concession. Keep track of both until the target collects 3 of a kind. If you maintain your concentration on this spell for the entire possible duration, the target is petrified until the condition is ended by a greater restoration spell or similar spell. Fly! Level 3, Transmutation, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard. Casting time, 1 action. Range, touched. Components, VSM, a feather. Duration, concentration, up to 10 minutes. You touch a willing creature. For the duration, the target gains a fly speed of 60 feet and can hover. When the spell ends, the target falls if it is still aloft, unless it can stop the fall. During using a higher level spell slot, you can target 1 additional creature for each spell slot above 3. And the number is 3. Thrice. Fog Cloud, Level 1, Conjuration, Druid, Ranger, Sorcerer, Wizard. Casting time, action! Range 120 feet. Components VS. Duration, concentration up to 1 hour. You create a 20-foot radius sphere of fog centered on a point within range. The sphere is heavily obscured. It lasts for the duration or until a strong wind, such as one created by a gust of wind, dissipates it. Using a higher level spell slot, the fog's radius increases by 20 feet for each spell level above 1. Moving along, Forbiddens, Level 6, Abjuration Cleric. Casting time 10 minutes or a ritual. Range touch components VSM ruby dust worth 1,000 plus gold pieces. Duration 1 day. You create a ward against magical travel that protects up to 40,000 square feet of floor space to a height of 30 feet above the floor. For the duration, creatures can't teleport into the area or use portals, such as those created by the gate spell, to enter the area. The spell proofs the area against planar travel and therefore prevents creatures from accessing the area by way of astral plane, the ethereal plane, the Feywild, the Shadowfell, or the other plane shift spells. In addition, the spell damages types of creatures that you choose when you cast it. Choose one or more of the following aberrations: celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. When a creature of the chosen type enters the spell's area for the first time on a turn or ends its turn there, the creature takes 5d10 radiant damage or necrotic damage, your choice, when you cast the spell. The spell's area can't overlap with the area of another forbidden spell. If you cast forbiddens every day for 30 days in the same location, the spell lasts until it is dispelled and the material components for the are consumed on the last casting. Force Cage, level 7, evocation, bard, warlock, wizard. Casting time, action. It's assumed as one action. Okay. Range 100 feet. Components VSM. Ruby dust worth 1,500 gold plus gold pieces, which the spell consumes. Duration concentration up to 1 hour. An immobile, invisible cube-shaped prison composed of magical force springs into existence around an area you choose within range. The prison can be a force cage or a solid box as you choose. The prison in the shape of the cage can be 20 feet on a side and is made of a half-inch diameter bars spaced a half-inch apart. And the prison in the shape of a box can be up to 10 feet on a side, creating a solid barrier that prevents any matter from passing through it and blocking any spells cast into it or out of the area. When you cast the spell, any creature that is completely inside the cage area is trapped. The creatures only partially within the area are those too large to fit inside it or pushed away from the center of the area until they are completely outside of it. A creature inside the cage can't leave it by non-magical means.
Casting time,
if the creature tries to
1
use
minute.
teleport or
Range
travel
touch
to leave,
components
it must first make a
VSM,
charisma
a
saving throw.
hummingbird fucker.
On a successful
Duration
save, the
8
creature
hours.
can use
You touch
that
a
magic
willing creature
exit the
and
cage.
bestow a limited
On a
ability
failed
to
save, the
see
creature
into
doesn't
the
exit the cage and
immediate
wastes a spell or
future.
effect. The
For the
cage
duration,
also
the target
extends
has
into
advantage
the ethereal
on
plane,
D20 test,
ethereal
and
trap.
other
This
creatures
spell
have disadvantage
can't be
on attack
dispelled
rolls
by
against
dispel
it.
magic.
The spell ends early if you cast it again. Font of Moonlight, level 4 evocation, Bard Druid. Casting time, action. Range self, components VS, duration, concentration up to 10 minutes. A cool light wreaths around your body, Let me start over. A cool light reaches your body for the duration, emitting bright light in a 20-foot radius and dim light for an additional 20 feet. Until the spell ends, you have resistance to radiant damage, and your melee attacks deal an extra 2d6 radiant damage on a hit. In addition, immediately after you take damage from a creature you can see within 60 feet of yourself, you can take a reaction to force the creature to make a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, the creature has the blind condition until the end of your next turn. Freedom of movement. Level 4, Abjuration, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Ranger. Casting time, action, range, touch. Components, VSM, a leather strap. Duration, 1 hour. You touch a willing creature. For the duration, the target's movement is unaffected by difficult terrain. The spells and spells other than magical effects can neither reduce the target's speed nor cause the target to have the paralyzed or restrained conditions. They have freedom of movement, basically. The target also has a swim speed equal to its speed. Oh, pretty cool. In addition, the target can spend 5 feet of movement to automatically escape from a non-magical restraint, such as manticles, a creature imposing the grapple condition on it. Using higher level spell slots, you can target 1 additional creature for each spell slot above 4. Friends. Enchantment, cantrip, a bard, sorcerer, warlock, wizard. Casting time, action, range 10 feet. Components, VS, some makeup. Duration, concentration, up to 1 minute. You magically emanate a sense of friendship towards one creature you can see within range. The target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or have the charmed condition for the duration. The target succeeds automatically if it isn't humanoid, if you're fighting it, or if you have cast this spell on it within the past 24 hours. The spell ends early if the target takes damage or if you make an attack roll, deal damage, or force anyone to make a saving throw. When the spell ends, the target knows that it was charmed by you.
Moving on to G spells. Gaseous form, level 3. Transmutation, sorcerer, warlock, wizard. Casting time, action. Range, touch. Components, VSM, a bit of gauze. Duration, concentration up to 1 hour. A willing creature you touch shape shifts along with everything it's wearing and carrying into a misty cloud for the duration. The spell ends on a target if it drops to 0 hit points or if it takes a magic action to end the spell on itself. When in this form, the target's only method of movement is fly speed of 10 feet, and it can hover. The target can enter and occupy a space of another creature. The target has resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage, and is immune to the prone condition and has advantage on strength, dexterity, and constitution saving throws. The target can pass through narrow openings, but it treats liquids as though they were a solid surface. Target can't talk or manipulate objects, and any objects it was carrying or holding can't be dropped, used, or otherwise interacted with. Finally, the target can't attack or cast spells. Using a higher level spell slot, you can target 1 additional creature for each spell slot above 3. Gate, level 9. Conjuration, cleric, sorcerer, warlock, wizard. Casting time, action, range 60 feet. Components, VSM, a diamond worth 5,000 gold pieces. Duration, concentration up to 1 minute. You conjure a
portal, linking an unoccupied space you can see within range to a precise location on a different plane of existence. The portal is circular opening, which you can make to a 20-foot in diameter. You can orient the portal in a direction you see. The portal lasts for the duration, and the portal's dimension is visible through it. The portal has a front and a back on each plane where it appears. Travel through the portal is possible only by moving through its front. Anything that does so is instantly transported to the other plane, appearing in the unoccupied space nearest to the portal. Deities and other planar rulers can prevent portals created by this spell from opening in their presence or anywhere within their domains. When you cast this spell, you can speak the name of a specific creature. A pseudonym, title, or nickname doesn't work. If a creature is on a plane other than you are on okay. If the creature is on a plane other than the one you were on, the portal opens next to the named creature and transports it to the nearest unoccupied space on your side of the portal. You gain no special power over the creature, and it's free to act as the DM deems appropriate. It might leave, attack you, or help you. Geese, level 5 enchantment, bard, cleric, druid, paladin, wizard. Casting time 1 minute, range 60 feet, components V, duration 30 days. You give a verbal command to a creature that you can see within range, ordering it to carry out some service or refrain from an action of a course of activity as you decide. The target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or have the charm condition for the duration. The target automatically succeeds if it can't understand your command. While charmed, the creature takes 5d10 psychic damage if it acts in a manner directly counter to your command. It takes this damage no more than once each day. You can issue a command you choose, short of an activity that would result in certain death. Should you issue a suicidal command, the spell ends. Remove curse, greater restoration, or which spell ends this spell. Using a higher level spell slot, you can use a 7th or 8th spell slot. The duration is 365 days. If you use a 9th level spell, the spell lasts until it is ended by one of the other spells mentioned above. Gentle Repose, level 2 necromancy, cleric, paladin, wizard. Casting time, action or ritual. Range, touch. Components, VSM, 2 copper pieces, which the spell consumes. Duration, 10 days. You touch a corpse or other remains. For the duration, the target is protected from decay and can't be undead. The spell is also effectively extends the time limit on raising the target from the dead. Since days spent under the influence of the spell don't count against the time limit of the spell, such as raise dead. Giant insect, level 4 conjuration, druid. Casting time, action. Range 60 feet, components, VS, duration is concentration, up to 10 minutes. You summon a giant centipede, spider, or wasp, chosen when you cast the spell. It manifests in an unoccupied space you can see within range and uses the giant insects that block. The form you choose determines certain details. In the set block, the creature disappears when it drops to 0 hit points, or when the spell ends. The creature is an ally to you and your ally. And in combat, the creature shares your initiative count, but it takes its own turn immediately after yours. It obeys your verbal commands, no action required by you. If you do not issue any, it takes the dodge action and uses its movement to avoid danger. Using a higher level spell slot, use the spell slot's level for the spell's level in the stat block. Giant insect, large beast, unaligned, AC 10 plus the spell's level. Hit points 30 plus 10 for each spell level above floor 4. Speed 40 foot, climb 40 foot, fly 40 foot, whilst only. Okay, your strength 17 plus 3 plus 3, dexterity 13 plus 1 plus 1, con is 15 plus 2 plus 2, intelligence 4, -3, -3, wisdom 14 plus 2 plus 2, charisma 3, -4, -4. That's the mod and the save, but I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the format. Senses, dark vision 60 foot, passive perception 12. Languages, understands the language you know. CR none. XP 0. PB equals your proficiency bonus. Traits, spider, climb. The insect has the climb difficult surfaces, including along ceilings, without needing to be ability check. Actions, multi-attack. The insect makes a number of attacks equal to half its spell's level rounded down. Poison jab, melee attack roll. Bonus equals your spell attack modifier. Reach 10 foot, hit 1d6 plus 3 plus the spell's level piercing damage plus 1d4 poison damage. Web bolt, spider only, ranged attack roll. Bonus equals your spell attack modifier. Range 60 feet. Hit is 1d10 plus 3 plus the spell's level bludgeoning damage, and the target speed is reduced to 0 until the start of the insect's next turn. Bonus actions, venomous spew, centipede only. Constitution saving throw. Your spell DC. One creature the insects can see within 10 feet. Failure, the target has the poison condition until the start of the insect's next turn. Moving on to glibness. Glibness, level 8. Enchantment, bard, warlock. Casting time, action. Range, self, components, V. Duration, 1 hour. Until the spell ends, when you take a charisma check, you can replace the number of your roll with a 15. Additionally, no matter what you say, magic that would determine if you are telling the truth indicates that you are being truthful. Globe of Invulnerability, level 6 Abjuration, Sorcerer Wizard. Casting time, action, range, self, components, VSM, a glass bead. Duration, concentration, up to 1 minute. An immobile, shimmering barrier appears in a 10-foot emanation around you and remains for the duration. Any spell of level 5 or lower cast from inside the barrier can't affect anything within it, such as a spell can target creatures and objects within the barrier, but the spell has no effect on them. Similarly, the area within the barrier is excluded from area effects created by such spells. Using a higher level spell slot, the barrier blocks spells of 1 level higher for each spell slot above 6. Glyph of Warding. level 3, abjuration, bard, cleric, wizard. Casting time 1 hour. Range touch. Components VSM, powdered diamond worth 200 plus gold pieces, which is consumed in the spell. Duration, until dispelled or triggered. You inscribe a glyph that later unlatches a magical effect. You inscribe it either on a surface, such as a table or a section of floor, or within an object that can be closed, such as a book or a chest. To conceal the glyph can cover an area no larger than 10-foot diameter. If the surface or object is moved more than 10 feet from where you cast the spell, the glyph is broken, and the spell ends without being triggered. The glyph is nearby, imperceivable, and requires a successful wisdom perception check against your spell DC to notice. When you inscribe the glyph, you set its trigger and choose whether it's an explosive rune or a spell glyph, such as explained below. Set the trigger. You decide what triggers the glyph when you cast a spell. For glyphs inscribed on the surface, common triggers include touching or stepping on the glyph, removing another object covering it, or approaching within a certain distance of it. For glyphs inscribed with an object, common triggers include opening the object or seeing the glyph. Once the glyph is triggered, this spell ends. You can refine the trigger so that only creatures of certain types activate it. For example, a glyph could be set to affect apparitions. You could also set conditions for creatures that don't trigger the glyph, such as those who say a certain password. Explosive rune. When triggered, the glyph erupts with a magical energy, a 20-foot radius sphere centered on the glyph. Each creature in the area makes a dexterity saving throw. The creature takes 5d8 acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage, your choice, when you create the glyph. On a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. Spell glyph. You can store a prepared spell of level 3 or lower in the glyph by casting it as part of creating the glyph. The spell must target a single creature or area. The spell being stored has no immediate effect when cast in this way. When the glyph is triggered, the stored spell takes effect. If the spell has a target, it targets the creature that triggered the glyph. If the spell affects an area, the area is centered on that creature. If the spell summons hostile creatures or creates harmful objects or traps, they appear as close as possible to the intruder and attack it. If the spell requires concentration, it lasts until the end of its full duration. Using a higher level spell slot, the damage of an explosive rune increases by 1d8 each spell slot level above 3. If you create a spell glyph, you can store any spell up to the same level as the spell slot you use for the glyph of warding. Thank you for your likes and subscription. I trust that you find this useful for whatever your reasons, purposes. Please share with those who can utilize it, as those who are blind, trouble reading, has employment that keeps them on the road with no time for reading, or other scenarios that I have not fathomed. Stay tuned for more spells and descriptions next time we start with Goodberry. Happy gaming! Next time.